can't thank you enough for how you have supported Sweethearts and Heroes over the years. You think you saw us shortly after our inception. At some level, you've been responsible for helping us get into probably more schools, locations than just about anybody. What about for you? I mean, it's easy for Jason and I to prattle on about the work that we're doing and believe with all our hearts that it's the right thing and the message is continuing to grow and to evolve. But what about you from somebody standing in the back of an auditorium? I mean, what are you, because I mean, you said something pretty profound to me that it's allowed my ego to get a little bit too big. Here's a guy who's seen Tony Robbins a couple times. And I remember when you came back from Tony Robbins and you were like just blown away. I mean, you just couldn't stop. And I was like, man, I hated Tony Robbins when you came back because you were so impressed with him. And then you went to see him again. And certainly, you believe in what Tony does and his message. But you said something pretty profound to me. You said, when you and Rick are up there, and you've seen Jason as well multiple times. But you said when you guys are up there, he goes, every time I see y'all, which is a dozen times or more, it's like it gets better. And like with going to a Tony Robbins thing, I had seen the story and the play and how it works, and he believes in it and other people believe in it, but it's just different. What's your gut got, when it comes to standing in the back of an auditorium and watching this message?
Well, there's a lot of angles for me to address on that, so we'll be the hub and I'll go down spokes one at a time. I think the first time I saw you guys, for whatever reason in my business, I made a living of being able to spot a winner. I can't invent one, I can't fabricate one, I can't be one, but I know which horse to bet on. And in the design field, I bet on designs every year and they were winners, right? When I saw you guys, I was like, these guys are world class. You hit every trigger in my imagination and my opportunity, right? I think that's me. I love seeing opportunities and trying to share that. When I saw you guys, I knew you guys had something special and I believe every minute when I talk about you to other people, I say they're right at that hockey stick and they're going to be celebrities and famous and they go out, the Matt Lauer moment. I always expect next week you guys are going to be on the Today Show, setting the world on fire at a much higher level than you are now. It's amazing what you guys have done to date, but I just think you need to be in every school, not 100 schools, not 200 schools. I want to see you guys in every school. So why I went and took it upon myself to go talk to other school boards is I think when I look at this, I look at it from different angles, whereas most people look at things through a straw. So I'm a parent of a teenager. Okay, check. My wife's a teacher, so she looks at things through a teacher's lens. Check. Owned a business, and I know the business world. Check. And now I work at a bank, and I was a chair of a school board for many years. So I kind of can see the education part almost from every angle that you might look. And there's not a liability or a deficiency or a flaw in from any angle of that. It's a win-win-win from anybody at any point. So when I saw that, I said to myself, I'm going to be negligent if I don't share that with other schools, other teachers, and other people. So that's why I took it upon myself. I think half the time you didn't even know I was doing it. I put myself on the agenda for other school boards and said, I saw these folks, they came to our school. I know lives were saved. You got to do the same. And a few of the folks said, yeah, man, this sounds great. How do we start? When do we book? What do we do? As a guy running the marketing department of a bank, I felt this would be a good use of money to have you go into other schools, and we sponsored your presentation in several schools in the area. And I thought that was a great use of bank funds. As a community bank, we care about the people. What shows more that we care about students in our community than to have you guys go in and literally, and I know you guys weren't willing to go on the record of saying that, but I'll do that myself. I literally watched you guys save lives. Literally, no question in my mind. And it might have been one next month or next year or 2 years from there, but you did it, I know. And you know why? You guys do your presentation. it's over. The kids rush the stage like it's a rock concert. And everybody wants to stand with the giant muscle man MMA fighter and the giant gym teacher, or Rick with his dog and his metal leg and his personality. It's just great. And everybody wants to go up and they take their phones out and they get their selfies taken with the celebrities. And they love that. And I love watching that, right? But I sit way on the back of the room, as far away from you guys as possible, to give everyone else their privacy. And the teachers bring their students out and whatever. And then there's what I call the lingerers. And those are the ones that really touch me. And I sit way far back. I want to watch it, but I don't want them to see them being watched. But that's where I know I've given value to my bank, spending money to have you guys go in there. These lingerers go up to you one at a time, and they're waiting patiently. They're not all smiley selfie. They've got a story they've got to tell you because you touched them in a way that they have never been touched before. You've given them the hope, right? And the tears are flying. And I don't know what you guys are saying, but I can see it from a distance, the transaction that's happening. And they may have been told a dozen times by other people in that school, you know, we're here to help you. How can I help? It's not that bad, whatever it is. And the message just might not have been delivered in a way that they wanted to receive it. You know, we've all been told things 100 times. And on that 101st time from some other person, that was our aha moment. I've watched you guys have hundreds of aha moments. And it wasn't aha, Jay Cummings is going to ride a bike better tomorrow. It's aha, my life is saved. So I watch these kids. And I used to get choked up telling that story. And this is probably the first time that I didn't get choked up telling the story. But here we are, a bank going out saving lives. How? We sponsor you guys in the school. And I'll go easy math. Every time we do that, I know there's 3 kids in that audience. Their life has been changed forever. And the parent may never know that, but you guys do it. And I know you've done it. That's what I see when I sit in the back of the auditorium. That's what I see when I watch you guys present. I can feel it. I sit in the audience. I try to sit around and watch the kids and feel the energy of the kids. I can feel what's going on in that. I don't know how to describe it any other way than that. I know you're saving lives every time.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I had a little moment this year. You're just ringing some bells for me. I can't count the number of kids that have sought me out, and I have a friend of mine who's a pretty well-respected filmmaker. I've done actually just won at Sundance a couple of years ago, and I just, this moment where, you know, I've had more young ladies seek me out at the end of a presentation than young men. I have a great connection with young men. I love working with young men. I spend a lot of time, you know, wrestling and training young men. But over the last 7 or 8, 9 years, I've just had more young ladies seek me out. And I mentioned one earlier, and it's constantly. And my buddy Andrew came with me this year, did some film work, and I was explaining that to him, and he goes, "How come you don't see that?" And I'm like, "See what?" And he's like, "Well, they feel safe." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, he's like, "These young ladies, they just feel safe around you, and that's why they seek you out, and that's why they come and they linger." And I had the young lady the other day stay till 6 o'clock at night because she couldn't get her opening with me until 6 o'clock at night. And it isn't some kind of weird, like, fascination. I'm sure there's a little bit of them wanting to be with someone that's doing and speaking, and but he said they just feel safe. And I think that that's one thing that our kids, in a world of anxiety, riddled with anxiety and fear, that they're lacking a sense of safety. And what else shuts down in a kid's brain in their life when they just don't have that? And Jason's really turned me on to the work that was done in the mid-1990s. I think it was 95 to 97 at Kaiser Permanente. The ACEs study measured 17,000 people and the adverse childhood experiences that they had. And the more ACEs you have in your life, I think there was 10 categories originally, but there's certainly a lot more adverse childhood experiences. And the kids that you're talking about are these kids that have these ACEs, these adverse childhood experiences that really even shape their physical health through the rest of their lives. And those are the kids you're talking about. And I mean, I don't want to say those are the ones that I'm there to help, because I have famously said to people, I don't go into schools for kids that get bullied, and I don't go into schools for kids that are bullies. And sometimes that makes people like take a second take, and I say, I'm there for the rest of them. Because I can't be there for those lingerers every day, but the rest of the kids that they see every day can be. I think it was G.K. Chesterton years ago, and I'm not sure if this is a wives' tale or not, but the Times wrote him a letter and said, they put this letter out there and they said, what's wrong with the world today? And he's obviously one of the most esteemed journalists in the 20th century, and he wrote back two words. He said, I am. That was his response. They wanted a big, long letter on what's wrong with the world today, and he just wrote back, I am. And we're what's wrong with the world and our kids. And I don't know even where to begin with that. It's just and that's what we're doing. We're creating these young people that understand that they're the ones that are going to make the change. And I appreciate what you say, but I don't think it's me. I think it's this message of hope and action. It's hopefully we can. My goal is to bring it to 50 million kids across the country. Our public school students, and certainly I'm not excluding private school or homeschooled students as well, but that's our agenda, is these kids that are in the public sector that we get a chance to get in front of and change lives.